We are very pleased to have Professor Minn-Tsong here with us today. Minn-Tsong received his Bachelor of Science degree from this department, and then got his Master of Science degree from University of Heidelberg in Germany. And then he got his PhD in 1996 in University of Health. Okay, but the work is performed in the Max Planck Institute. After receiving his PhD degree, you serve as a postdoc? Hello?
Yes, 1 year postdoc.
For 1 year. Okay. And then you went back to our department as an assistant professor, and now he is the professor, okay, in our department, okay. And he is well known for his research in nanomagnetism and spin. Okay, because of his outstanding research achievement, he received the Outstanding Research Award of Ministry of Science and Technology last year. And he is also now the associate editor of the Applied Physics Journal, Applied Physics Data, which is a very important journal in applied science. And he also served as the vice president of the Physical Society of Taiwan. So today, he will tell us about his research. The title of his talk is Dancing with Spin in Nanomagnetism and Spintronics. Yeah, let's welcome him.
I would like to thank the chairman. This is the first time I know that he knows so much about me, and so much about the details. So thank you very much. Actually, this is the colloquium talk. Okay. Okay, this is a kind of colloquium talk, so I will not go into the detail in the usual seminar talks. Instead, I would like to a little bit reflection on my research in the past, not necessarily in the past 10 years, the past 5 years, and to give some introduction about this material, about this research field. So the first, I would like to talk about the dancing with spin. So I think most of you know about spin. So this I'm brief the story with the spin. So during my master degree, they call the diploma physical. So the diploma physical. So I was in Heidelberg. Heidelberg, as you know, is a very beautiful place. I just go to maybe every week, so 4 hours for quantum mechanics, and the rest times I can enjoy my life in the coffee shop. And then maybe around the 3 o'clock, I will go to the library and 2 hours study, and go back to the dinner again, and to meet some friends. So discussion at that time, and not necessarily about physics, is very usual and very welcome among the student. But after my diploma exams, I went to the Max Planck Institute to get my master degree thesis. So I was doing the spin structure of proton. So I think that most of you know, I think many people are doing the high energy physics. The proton was composed of 3 quarks, up, down. Unfortunately, Wei Su today is not here. So you will appreciate my appreciation about the high energy physics. So we have up, down. You can check Junwei. There is Junwei. You have up, down. So each quark has also 1/2 quark. And usually we think the proton has also 1/2, right? Then you will think, okay, plus 1/2 plus 1/2 minus 1/2. This is actually then it's equal to 1/2, right? So basically they were saying this very simple mathematical formula, but in fact this is not so simple. There's a complicated internal structure of a proton. Then when we talk about the cloud quark and the valence quark and so on, a lot of different amazing things. And then this is high energy physics. And after that, usually one needs to work in a very big group. So I decided to go to the low energy. So from the high energy go to the low energy, you mean in Chinese 从高能到低能. So doing something about the low energy, something about Binnen and the solid state. I went to the singleton radiation in Berlin, and to do the surface magnetism. It's also kind of the relation to the spin with the singleton radiation in 1993. And then I went back to NTU to continue to nanomagnetism and spintronics here. So actually, I started this topic only after I came back to Taiwan. So this is also news for me about 15 years ago. So what is spin? I think you know already in the textbook about spin, but do you really know the spin as the spin presented in the real world? So I think most of the knowledge of the spin is can be considered as a quantum number. This is intrinsic property in derived equation. Basically, you can get the spin quantum number from the Schrödinger equation. So the Schrödinger equation, the spin is actually edited by your hands. Actually, one got this idea from the experiment. So this basically the derived equations consider both the quantum mechanics and relativity. So of course, I will not go into the detail. So classical picture, but how about the picture of the classical spin? It's very easy. It's much easier than the derived equation, right? So this is a spin up. So you raise your right hand, so the spin up, and the right hand is actually the spin down. So then you have only two choices: spin up and spin down. This is quantized. The quantum number is quantized. So you cannot have the arbitrary value of the angular momentum. So the spin, of course, represents the angular momentum of the elementary particle. This is intrinsic angular momentum, rather than the orbital moment or orbital angular momentum. And why and how does the spin matter? So we have the spin, and what can the spin? So the spin is intrinsic property. So of the elementary particle. So for the half integers spin, so the particle can be named as the fermion. So that you know the fermion, you need to have you have a Pauli principle. So you can not put the two fermion with all of the quantum number sitting together. So you don't. So however the boson, you can go to the ground state. So everyone can sit together. So there's two different totally statistical behavior in the fermion, which is decided by the spin. So the spin really determines the intrinsic property of statistics of an elementary particle. So till now, actually belongs to the high energy physics. Right now, it's a spin structure in magnetic. So if you can align the spin in a material in one direction, so we call this as a ferromagnetism. So that you have I think your hard disk actually all of this application. So need to have the material called the ferromagnetic material. So they align in one direction. So you have the macroscopically total magnetization. So you have magnetization. So it's just like the macroscopic, you have a dipole moment, the big dipole moment, which you can use for different purpose. And of course, you have the microscopic, you still have spin. However, the spin is opposite, aligned. So basically, then you don't have the net spin moment. Totally, so you don't have the net magnetization. However, you have the microscope, you have spin. So maybe I can draw. So this is the ferromagnetism. I think and this is the anti-ferromagnetism. So the total spin here is 0, and here is of course you have the net spin. So we call it the ferromagnetism, and here is the net the anti-ferromagnetism. Before preparing, during preparing the talks, I told me that actually I should not use the equation. I try to avoid using equation. Okay, I try my best. Okay, so then spin orbital interpret. So beside the spin, the one phenomenon is very important and played the crucial role in a material. It's in a material, not only the atom. So I will show you something to echo the title of my talk. My talk is talking about dancing. So I show you some video. And show you what is a spin and what is the spin orbital coupling. Spin orbital coupling is very important. find slowly, you'll find a spin, many electrons, right? So spin. And later you can find, you have microspin right out like that. So it's forming the process. So they say, but this has nothing to do with the physics. You know, okay? Okay? Right now is something about physics. Okay, right now it's spin up. That's interesting. They will come to spin down. After spin scatter, so there was some action. So this is, again, this is complicated. So the spin structure become complicated. But till now it's still okay because the orbital moment is still quite simple. So I will tell you that in solid state it's very complicated. I will Okay, so orbital moment is always very regular. Right now, the electron become more complicated with complicated orbital moment, right? And then right now, it's with complicated distribution of the electron. And right now, it's important. If you can control the spin, so you can even produce the spin current. So basically, in this way, go to this way, and this way goes to this way. Unfortunately, both spin currents are spin up. So I cannot find a fin with spin up and spin down. Okay, that's this dancing finished. Okay, I finished my dancing part in my talk. Okay, actually, it's, the films indicate part of the truth of the reality in the solid state. The electron actually behave very complicated. It's with the spin, with orbital moment, and the corrective behavior also provide a different behavior in a transfer property. So we can find. So okay, I will continue. So the spin orbital coupling is important. So spin orbital can determine. So you have can produce the energy anisotropy in a space. So you know that we have orbital orbital moment along the different direction. So that means if you have the different direction of orientation of the spin, so you may have different total energy due to the spin orbital coupling. Okay, so this is easy to understand from the fundamentals of physics. So you may have the energy anisotropy, and this energy anisotropy is very important for determining the easy axis of the ferromagnetism. I will show you later. So then also, of course, is the surface and nanomagnetism important. So the surface spin orbital coupling is important in such sense. And more interesting effect, so not only the distribution of the spin in the material, but also the complicated transport of the material can be also determined by the spin configuration. So we call this as a spin-dependent transport in general. Of course, the reason called the spin-dependent transport have manifolds. So that could be due to the spin-dependent scattering, spin-dependent tunneling, and so on, different kinds. So then, and that means your resistance can be determined by the magnetic configuration. So we call such kind of resistance magnetoresistant. So the resistance can not only determined by the intrinsic property, but also determined by the spin configuration in this whole material here. And of course, if you consider spin, include spin in electronics, so we call this a spintronics. So, and in the second part of my talks, I will also tell you about the giant spin orbital coupling, the spin moment lock system. If you have a very, very strong spin orbital coupling, so that means the spin can be strongly locked by the momentum, a certain momentum direction. That means if you can control the certain momentum, basically you can also control the spin. So the spin is not normal and arbitrary. So that you have the so-called spin momentum lock system. And this is important, in particularly for recently very hot topics of the topological insulator and also ROHBA semiconductor and so on. So, and of course, you may have more the spin Hall effect, spin transfer torque for application in the memory and the spin pumping system and so on. So I will not go into the detail here. So the outlines will be so a new way to control the magnetization direction of the nanomagnetism in nanomagnetism. So I will try to show you how to manipulate the material and how to control the orbital moment, spin orbital injection, and to determine the orientation of the magnetization. So the second part, I will talk. I will tell you a little bit about the spintronics, in particular the organic spintronics. If I have more time, so I will only show you some example. So in a transport issue of the spin. So the third part, I will show you our recent STM study on emergent material. Here is not a spin dependent. Most of the STM study here is not a spin dependent measurement, but it is a measurement and a very important measurement on a spin dependent or spin momentum lock system here, as I mentioned in the transparency before. So the first topic here is perpendicular magnetic anisotropy. So the idea is very easy. It's how to get a perpendicular anisotropy. And you will tell me, so you will ask why this perpendicular anisotropy or magnetization is important in nanomagnetism. So this work has been done by my former PhD students, Wang Boyao. He spent, together with me, it was very hard times at that time. So I think starting from the 2006, we started to this work, this research. And we, at the beginning, this is the second paper actually. So the first major paper we published in Physical Review B. At that time, we tried to refine the new phenomenon because we can drive ferromagnetism from the implant to the perpendicular with abnormal anti-ferromagnetism. So anti-ferromagnetism actually is the magnetization is zero. So how can we switch the magnetization direction orientation by a anti-ferromagnetic material? So at that time, so we submit our paper to so-called Nature CCMS-New. Right now it's very crazy. Everyone is crazy for that, and we're fighting from this one and to this one. And he, fortunately, he is actually was very patient. I don't know, so because of me or because of himself. So at least he, okay, so we can fight together, and then continue to find out. Okay, we can use the synchronous radiation. So this work is basically done by synchronous radiation. So we can find the microscopic picture, and we can really measure the orbital moment, and which it actually presents the value of the spin orbital coupling in the complicated material here. So that's the story here. I will show you first the story. So that why is the perpendicular anisotropy or perpendicular magnetization is important. I think that everyone here uses the hard disk. Hard disk is basically right now it's still on the ferromagnetic. Of course, we have right now the solid state the hard disk. But basically, the magnetic hard disk is still one of the important hard disk material. So you can see if you have the implant, so you have the stress field. So the cover actually is a much larger area as compared to if you have perpendicular. The perpendicular, you consider the stress field. So the perpendicular go up from here and go down from here. So the unit of the bit can become smaller. So you can enhance the density of the storage bit, basically. So the role of the writing elements perpendicular to the disk can strongly enhance the stress limit of the writing field. That's because in this perpendicular anisotropy geometry, you can even have a very strong anisotropy to the higher temperature. So that means so you can have a small magnetic bit and allowing a smaller, as I say, it's a smaller grains per bit with a higher magnetic anisotropy. Of course, consequence will be the higher recording density for hard disk. I think I still remember in 1997, so I got the hard disk about 20 D. 20 giga, right? So usually, so you can buy it in Guanghua Shangchang, Guanghua market is the 20 giga. But right now is I think it's starting from 1T, usually 1T. So that is actually the progress of the hard disk here is amazing in the last 15 years. So and here it's not only applied for the magnetic recording, you can also be applied for in combination of spin transfer torque. You can also become a very useful unit of the M-RAM, magnetic RAM. And right now, such geometry, combination of the spin transfer torque and together with the perpendicular anisotropy has become a standard approach of the magnetic RAM. Some rumors says actually the TSMC is trying to build up some production line to produce this one. And I give this talk about the future of the magnetic RAM. I think it's about 10 years ago. As I have a roadmap, but I will not show today because and I put it 2000, I think the 12 or 14. So you will become some magnetic RAM. So but right now today is already 2015. So I skip the roadmap. But what important is I think the big companies here I think they hasn't given up this concept here. So when we see before I go into retirement, I think we will see the answer. I believe. So okay, go back to the physics. I think today I'd like to show you some basic concept, very simple concept, to understand why the magnetism is interesting. So the two important concepts in nanomagnetism. The first one, I think I'll show you already. So you need to consider so-called exchange coupling, and which determine the magnetic ordering. So, but what is exchange coupling? So why we put the material here? So we have for example, this is chromium, right? And this is an example of cobalt or iron example. So of course the spin ordering here is strongly depending on the geometry too. So some geometry change, some crystal structure can also change your long range ordering here. So we call this because you have a very strong coupling between the magnetic moment, the microscopic magnetic moment. So you will ask me why. So because you have a spin here, so they must have the dipole-dipole induction. So you will see, okay, just because you have a dipole induction, so they force all of the spin along the one direction. Unfortunately, this is wrong. The simple picture is wrong. So that's why they use a very complicated word, exchange coupling. Why we call it exchange coupling? Because it's too complicated. It's not easy to explain to you. So that we call this exchange coupling. So this exchange coupling here. So some exchange coupling here give you. So that we have energy then called. I think this is very easy now. Okay. So you have two spin. So we call this exchange coupling constant or exchange coupling integral. So this exchange coupling, if J, so this one is J minus positive. So this one is J negative. But actually, this formula say nothing about the real physics behind that, because this is only the phenomenological description. So you have the J positive, of course. If you all the spin aligned in one direction, you have the minimal energy. That is too easy, right? So, but still, we don't know what is the J. So to understand the J, either you go to the Professor Gore to ask him to make some complicated ab initio calculation, or so you go back to the very complicated argument, so the qualitative, so the interplay. So all of the long-range ordering actually is determining the interplay between the Pauli principle and the Coulomb induction. Those spin in a spin, if you have the two electrons only, so basically you cannot put, as I said already for the fermion, you cannot put the two fermion into the same position with the same all the quantum number. So basically you have the spin wave function, you have a spatial wave function. The spatial wave function gives you the Coulomb induction, right? So then you need to find out to choose a certain spin configuration with minima Coulomb induction, with the minima. So that could be in this way or could be in this way. So provide you minima energy distribution. and which is actually depending on your distribution and the spatial function here. So that is, we can only say that so qualitatively, this is an interpret of Pauli principle and the Coulomb interaction. And it's also determined by the different material here. As I show you, there's no easy way to give you a 100% correct. There is some approach. We can say something about that, I know. That you can find in the solid state physics. But in a complicated crystalline structure, it's easy to say to predict the chain coupling here. So at least we know this is an interplay between the Pauli principle and the Coulomb interaction here. And another important thing, you have the spin interaction. However, the space is isotropic. So in which direction you can along your spin. So we don't know that. And which energy term can determine the easy axis. I think the easy axis is easy to understand. So basically, if you have the material, the magnetization prefer to align in the so-called easy axis here. So this is energy. So describe the energy difference between the two different orientation. So you have energy here, you have energy here, and you can get the difference. So for this difference in the spatial distribution, you can know, oh, in which direction you have a minimum energy if you will spin along this direction. So that is what we call this magnetic anisotropy. And the calculation of magnetic anisotropy is easy. So you simply calculate this direction and this direction, and you can find the anisotropy difference between these two directions. Okay? So, and this direction, as I say, is very, very much originated from the so-called spin orbital interaction. Not only of that, we have also the dipole-dipole interaction, but it's because you have the shape. Okay? But this one, if you have an isotropic material, the shape is isotropic. However, you have intrinsic crystalline structure. As I said, the crystalline structure gives you orientation distribution, so isotropic, non-isotropic distribution of orbital moment. And then, if you spin along the different direction, so you may have the different spin orbital interaction energy along the different direction. So such anisotropy distribution, energy distribution, where we give you so-called magnetic anisotropy, which is actually due to the spin orbital interaction. So there are two totally different mechanisms to determine this one is long-range ordering, and this one is actually determine your magnetic easy axis. And these two concepts actually determine most of the behavior of the nanomagnetism. Okay, so and if you basically you need to consider these two things. Okay, and go back to the topic here is the anti-ferromagnetism. The anti-ferromagnetism actually, as I say, is net moment is zero. So you will say the net moment is zero, so it should be useless, right? So you cannot use as a magnet. However, if you put the anti-ferromagnetic together with a ferromagnetic layer, so you will have a so-called chain coupling. Again, chain coupling. Here is chain coupling is different from the chain coupling here. So I think the magnetic people like to use chain coupling. So we chain something. So that means we have some wave function overlap. But however, the detail is still due to the Coulomb interaction and the Pauli principle, as I said before. So then it's coercivity enhancement. You will find the coercivity will go to a larger value. And what important is, so you will find the shifting of the hysteresis rule. This is M and this is H. So that means if you have anti-ferromagnetism, so then the system becomes unidirectional. So that means the magnetization prefer along the one direction only. So one direction only, and we call this exchange bias. We use always this exchange bias. And this exchange bias gives you a well-defined magnetization orientation at the zero field, and which is very useful